Good morning. Good morning. Hi. Here you go. Hi. Good morning, Morris. Good morning, Morris. Tux went around in a circle, but he's back. Oh, it doesn't feel too bad out here today. It's not as humid as I would have thought. Do I not have any kitties following me? Hi, Marty. Come on. Marty. Hi, bud. What's wrong? What? What's wrong? He was in the house and ate. Hi, bud. Good morning. Either one. Okay. Stripe's here somewhere. Yeah, it's not too bad out here. A little more humid than I'd like, but I did feel nice air when I walked out the door. It wasn't immediate like, oh my God, I'm outside. I have refreshed the kitties' water, pulled leaves out of things, watered a couple of things, but you know, the boardwalk's a little wet as if we had a little rain overnight, or just a little bit. Let me see, do we have anything in the rain gauge? Yeah, we do. We have something just a little less than 1/10. So we had a little shower overnight. When this time of year, we don't need a lot. We just need, you know, a little bit like that goes a long way. Especially when the humidity's high, it's not like it's evaporated. Look at the pretty violas. They're looking really nice. And check out this plant from the Arboretum that we bought off the little cart. Wow, that is so pretty. I hope I can keep that alive. It's like little orchid trumpet kind of flowers. I forget what it's called. It starts with a G. It's not your standard plant, so I'm not familiar with the name. But it has a tag. It has a tag. Let's see. It is a... Oh, it's a variety of Sylvia? That sounds unexpected. Oh, no. Do I have a... I do not have a... Okay, somebody did something underneath or... Anyway, they're split up. Hi now. No, Tux, don't follow him. Come here, Stripey. This is a Semania Sylvicata Bolivian Sundrit. Hardy Gloxina. That's the G thing. But maybe it's in the Sylvia family. I don't know. All I know is it came from the Arboretum and it's flowering right now and the flowers are beautiful. And Stripe should stay out of trouble with Tux. That's what I know right now. More likely, let me go get Tux to stay out of trouble with Stripe. Tuxie, come here, bud. Come on. Boys, this is ridiculous. Come on. Hi, let me get you out of trouble. Come on. Come up here with Marty. There you go, bud. There's no reason to have a thing with Stripe this morning. He goes, I will if I want, Mom. Alright. Yeah, Adam and Michelle should be here shortly. We've got some fun things planned today. Most particularly, we're going to moonlight in the garden at the Arboretum tonight. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. The leaves are falling. The rustle of the leaves. See them coming down? Hi, Gray. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, hi. How you doing, sweet girl? Whoops. Hi. Hello. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. They're here. When your house works just like everybody else's house. Yeah, flip-flops. We have toes showing. We have shorts. We have the appropriate Hawaiian shirt. It doesn't feel quite that hot to me today, but it's still pretty warm. It's still pretty warm out here.
It,
Yeah.
It kind of feels like I've got a blanket on me or something. Just the oof.
Yeah, a little heavy. But I'm thinking it's a good trade-off from the mile-high elevation change, which I would, even in cooler temps, would probably have me caught off guard.
And the snow. I'm just glad we're not doing the snow.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, okay. Dawn's white camellia has a ton of blooms on it, and it's got a flower. I was telling Michelle that when we have a cold snap, it'll stop opening them up, and they'll be okay. The ones that are open will get burnt, and the ones that are closed will just wait until another warm snap. Yeah, I guess it's finishing up now, but it sure has had, I swear, Dawn and I both agree it's had more color this fall, this Encore azalea, than it did in the spring. I mean, it's just kind of amazing. So there's 3 of them. This one probably gets a little more sun, maybe. That's why it's doing better. I don't know. The way the moisture rolls down the hill, who knows? There's a bunch more snow falling in Colorado today, but not here in North Carolina.
Not here. But the sun's not shining.
Yeah, well, I can't fix that. That's why we're not walking Raven Rock today, because it's just a little too hot and it's not pretty enough to enjoy the Cape Fear River stuff. But we're out for a ride. We're headed to Southern Supreme Fruitcake and more. Just a little ride around the country today, since we have countryside, since we have plans tonight for the Arboretum.
Yeah.
Couldn't go too far from home today.
Right.
So we decided to add the house in the Horseshoe as our first stop instead of our second stop, because there's a chance we can catch the tour if they're doing the tour today at 1 p.m. and it's coming up on 1. It's around 12:50. So then we'll go to the Fruitcake place. We picked these 2 things because they're sort of close together, and we're going to stop and supercharge at Sanford on the way back, because we'll be headed into Raleigh. And we didn't start out with an 80 or 90% charge. It was something less than that. So we'll do a supercharging stop today too. Should make for a nice Teslafy map today.
Yeah.
Ruby will be all over the place. I like it. Well, you can see they haven't had their first frost here either. It's pretty Vinca. Trying to remember if the monument was here last time. The house in the Horseshoe. Here occurred the skirmish between a band of patriots under Colonel Philip Alston and the Tories under Fanning on July the 29th, 1781. Erected by Alfred Moore, chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1928. So the actual marker has been here, I guess, a long time, but the flowers, the whole thing, maybe not so much. The caretaker will be down shortly to take us on the tour. And there are bullet holes still on the front of the house. Original wood. Don wants to know what all the red stuff on this tree over here is, and I'm going to say it's berries, and then he's going to know. I'm going to say this is winterberry. If I had to guess, I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll ask Google. But yeah, I would say this is winterberry. It's very pretty. It's very pretty.
Red tree over there with all the berries.
I believe it's related to the
It's a variety of olive.
olive.
I think is what Google says, although I thought it was winterberry.
Yeah, it's not produced any usable fruit of any kind.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. But the 2 next to it are peach.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, plum.
We're talking about these
Where
trees.
that picnic table was, there was a big plum tree that was here when you were here last.
Okay.
And there's another matching one
Where's
to
Ruby?
the right of that red berry tree. And they made the nicest small little plums. They're so good. And now this one doesn't produce because it's lost its mate.
Yeah.
Oh!
And so the other 2 were heavy, but the Japanese beetles annihilated them.
Oh.
Yeah, we have bad. We're from up in the Raleigh area, and we have horrible Japanese
Yeah.
beetles.
We were surprised this year. The Japanese beetles got our plum bushes.
They were absolutely terrible.
Sucked them dry.
Yeah.
Well, they brought the weather with them. They brought that great Colorado weather.
Oh, I thought you were blaming them for the bugs. I'm like, yeah, that's nice of him.
No, they left the snow behind is actually what happened.
Snow, like 8 inches of snow yesterday.
They got getting
Got
a foot
out in
tonight
time.
or something like
Yeah.
Well, you guys have continued to improve the grounds around the house nicely.
Well, and it's gonna get it's gonna get torn up, not the brick, but they have finally authorized us a brand new visitor center.
Okay.
Whoa.
So a 4,000 square foot building will be on the other side of those picnic tables
Oh.
and a new parking area.
Okay.
And so in planning for that, and also in conjunction with the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, we've been given a National Park Service grant for research on and restoration to the house specifically. So as you go through, you'll see like paint chip spots that are torn off. It's not damage, it's deliberate. They're doing paint study.
Huh?
6-7 weeks ago, we had State Bureau of Investigation out here. 3 agents were doing ballistics studies
Oh, really? For the holes in the.
for the holes in the porches. And if you stood right there, every single rod pointed from that direction.
Wow.
So historically, when we talk about the house being surrounded, I had always had that mental picture of a guy every 10 or 15 feet or whatever. And maybe there were, but most of the people shooting were coming from that direction,
Huh.
which may have indicated additional buildings, which we believe should be out here, because this was the original rear of the house,
Okay.
and somewhere out here should have been a kitchen.
Sure.
All right. 2013, they did ground penetrating radar, and just out in the middle of this area, they found and dug up a disturbed area. They found pottery sherds. They found bits of charcoal and an almost intact clay jug. We're like, great, we've got the kitchen.
Sounds
But the pottery sherds only go back to 1850, and we need it to go back to 1770, 1780.
Sure.
So we're still up in the air about that. But there are a number of footprints out here. That's just the only one that they dug up. So again, as you go through the
Interesting.
house, and especially on the far side, which is the original front, they've taken off some boards and put back some boards, so the paint looks a little rough, but it's temporary inconvenience for permanent improvement.
Well,
So,
just because I don't know any better, what do you worry about? Termites and bugs like that. I mean, have they done anything to protect it from
yeah,
that?
we have a termite contract and an annual inspection for most of the historic buildings, the house itself, and these 2 buildings, and then that one over there. They are the historic structures, as well as our own visitor center and other buildings on the property. So there is a contract for that. Plus, it's Heartwood pine,
Yeah. Okay.
and it takes a lot for them.
Yeah, they
and the house is built on a pier foundation. There's
Sure.
no
It's
contact
not on the
of wood
ground.
with that.
No
So
ground contact.
they have, in the past, prior to my time, had discovered some termite damage, but they had eradicated that. And in the past 3 years, they've come out and there's not been any new damage to it. So there is, however, some floorboards that are strong enough for right now, but definitely need to be reinforced and addressed. And then some repair work that we need to do upstairs. Maybe some restructuring of how they do the ventilation and air conditioning so it's not in the attic. But that's all stuff that is above my pay grade,
I understand.
but well handled by our State Historic Preservation Office and the folks, the contractors, or construction folks.
So the house was originally built when?
The house was originally built in 1772. The man that came out here was Philip Alston. He was not the oldest son, so he didn't stand to inherit dad's stuff in Halifax area. So he sent out here with some money, and he buys 4,000 acres of land. So pretty much as far as you can see and beyond. Majority of it seems to have been in this direction and that way, but still quite a chunk that way as well. And then he is involved when the American Revolution kicks off. The owner of the house is involved with the Patriot Militia for this area, which was at that time Cumberland County, which is now Moore County. Cumberland County is Fayetteville, which they called Cross Creek at the time. That
Okay.
entire county included this area.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and so he is part of the Cumberland County Militia. And then in 1781, he is given the lieutenant colonel's position and tasked with gathering some additional folks from the area to counter a threat by David Fanning, who was the leader of Loyalist militia.
Right. That's what I was. I was waiting for you to get to
Yep.
that, the loyalist thing.
So this is not a Redcoats versus Washington's line of battle. This is a skirmish that occurred between 2 American colonist militia groups There is one military person here. He is a British lieutenant who is with David Fanning as kind of an advisor, and he is actually killed on the day of the battle. We know of approximately 4 to 7 men that were died totally on the day, but we don't know how many people succumbed to their injuries because, you know, it was more likely to die from infection
Sure.
due to bayonet or bullet or injuries than outright being hit by a bullet. So in early July 1781, now if you know your local history, Guilford Courthouse, same year but in March.
Okay.
So Cornwallis goes up, chases yeah. Drawing a blank.
That's okay.
Anyway,
None of us were
they
born in
battled-
North Carolina, although
Okay,
some
well,
of
neither
us
was
have
I.
been here over
Neither
30
was I.
years, but wasn't born. I can
Guilford
tell you.
Courthouse, Cornwallis and General Greene.
Okay.
All right, Greene creates a hit and run tactics to draw him further and further up into Virginia, and then they come back down. They battle at Guilford Courthouse. The British actually win the day, but they lose so many men that Cornwallis goes back down to the coast. He then leaves everything down there under Major Craig's command, and Cornwallis goes up to Yorktown. All right, that's 1781.
Yeah.
This is July 1781, and then September, October of 81 is Yorktown.
Right.
So all in that last year.
Because that's where I was going with that is because I had forgotten that this was such a at the end, basically
Very late in the war. Yeah.
very late in the war, and you know, I did not remember. I mean, I had said it was a revolutionary battle, but it's just a skirmish, but there were more casualties than I remember. I didn't remember, you know,
And those
half a dozen
5
people.
to 7 men are buried in a nearby hill.
Right.
That's all they told us. That's all we've been able to find. Which hill? I mean, I'm from Western Pennsylvania. There's no hills here right now, but I'm a little biased. Mine are a little bumpier.
High
Just,
spot,
you know,
low spot.
Colorado is even more. So, but anyway, we do know that in early July there is a meeting of Patriot supporters in the county north of us, Chatham County. David Fanning and his men go up there. They surround and capture 53 Patriot supporters. They take 14 worst offenders and start marching them down to Major Craig on the coast to turn them in. They stop 3 towns south of here in Southern Pines. A man by the name of Kenneth Black was a Patriot supporter in that area, and he feeds everyone and, you know, gives them lodgings for the night and agrees to be guide for the next leg of the journey down towards and through the swamps. It's about that time that Philip Alston hears about the attack. He gets his men together and they start chasing after them to rescue the prisoners. They only ever get to within about a half a day.
Okay.
All right. But along the way, David Fanning's horse begins to have some trouble. So he and Mr. Black swap horses. Mr. Black says, I'll take your horse back to my house. You go on down, take your prisoners, take your men, and when you come back, you can pick it up. Well, David Fanning always rode one of 2 distinctively patterned bay mare horses. So to give you a modern day analogy, the guy that has a custom vehicle, the paint job or something, you see the car, you see him, you know, it's the same way.
Yep.
So here you have Kenneth Black riding Fanning's horse, coming back up to his house, runs into the front scouts of Philip Alston. They see the horse, they think it's Fanning, they ambush him, they interrogate him, and then they kill him with the butt of his own rifle.
Oh.
Philip Alston catches up to his scouts. Hey, you've got the wrong guy. Decides at that point he's never going to catch everything and catch up with anybody. Goes over to Widow Black's house and apologizes for his men killing her husband.
Oh, wow.
Brings all the rest of his men up here, and they're encamped up here. Normally it would take 11 days to go from here to the coast and 11 days back. David Fanning goes down, gets fresh horses and supplies from Major Craig, turns in his prisoners, comes back up, and gets to Southern Pines in 12 days. Finds out from Widow Black that her husband's been murdered by Philip Alston and his men, and comes up here with his men, surrounds the house, and it is a revenge attack. There is no military orders to capture this man or his men or that. David Fanning is mad because his friend's been murdered.
Wow.
Okay, so an approximate 3 to 3.5 hour gun battle ensues. We have remnants of that on the front door and faces, the porch faces, underneath the roofs on both sides. Like I said, this was the original back side of the house at this time. So you've got the front of the house on that side. So when we're done, you'll be able to go on that side and see some of the holes as well on that
Okay.
side. All right. During the battle, we know of 3 things that occurred. One is the British lieutenant that I mentioned offers to give a charge on the house. David Fanning gives him some men. They charge on the house. The British lieutenant is shot and killed. The rest of the men go back under cover, or back behind cover. Then there is a note about an freed African American gentleman who's been accompanying David Fanning. He is persuaded to come around the back of the house and attempt to throw a burning torch or burning rags to catch the house on fire to smoke them out. He is shot 3 times,
Oh, wow.
but survives. Very interesting with that. Finally, they're looking around and they find an ox cart and they put straw in it. They light the straw on fire and using the ox cart as cover, begin pushing it towards the house. So there's approximately, and these are very wide terms, 35 Patriot militiamen in the house, anywhere from 40 to 100 men outside on the Loyalist side. But there is also Philip Alston's wife, Temperance, and their 6 children in the house during the battle. She is hiding under her bed in the parlor with her 6-month-old. There's no basement to hide in. There's bullet holes in the closet. There's bullet holes in the stairwell. Bullets were riddling the ceiling with that. She has her younger 2 children in the fireplace on a table or a bench to get up into the firebox to protect them.
Yeah.
We believe the 11-year-old girl was there as well. That leaves 2 boys, 14 and 16, who may have been powder monkeys or resupplying the men in the house. For all we know, they might have been shooting.
Sure.
We don't know. But we don't have any record of the Alston family being injured, no one losing their lives as far as the family. But there were those 5 to 7 together
Yeah.
that did pass. And so they're pushing it up, the cart up towards the house, and everyone can see it coming up, but male is afraid to step out on the porch because they likely would have been shot. Again, it's a revenge attack. Temperance sees it, hears about it, persuades her husband and the men to let her go out and surrender. So she opens the door in some form of indicator, we don't know what, to say, hey, I want to parlay with you. David Fanning stops the battle and agrees to parlay with her. And she essentially says, we're willing to die for our cause, but we'll surrender on a number of conditions. Don't burn down my house, and don't harm any of the men inside the house. So what happens is he agrees to it. He then has every male 16 and older write and sign a letter of parole, which is their word saying, we're not going to fight anymore for the Patriots side. We're not going to provide supplies for the Patriot side. And in the end, if you all win, then we'll take fine, punishment, confiscation without argument. They also required them to stay within 5 miles of their house. And that's a fairly nice house arrest, but that's the size of his property at the time. Fortunately, a few months later, Yorktown occurs, and it's on the way out at that point. However, David Fanning, the man that led the group here, continues to be a pain in the neck in the area, continuing to attack and capture Patriot.
He was loyal.
He was loyal, yeah. He ends up ending up like a lot of the American loyalists did in Nova Scotia, and lives out his days building boats up there.
Wow.
Both Philip Alston and Governor Williams would send their produce to Cross Creek, get it on a barge, ship it to Wilmington, and then send it over to England.
Okay.
So you could navigate on it depending on the level of the river. Right now, it's like you could walk across it.
Yeah.
But I have seen these fields flooded 6 or 7 times. It depends on the rain because the basin where it catches all the water goes all the way up into Alamance and Guilford County.
Okay.
There's a long stretch of windy parts of the Deep River. So at one point, 5 miles north of here, they had a lock and dam system. This is in the 1800s.
That's right.
And that lock and dam system came all the way up to Carbonton because they were trying to get this to be a commercial area. And then Mother Nature said nope and wiped out all the dams. And so they took them all down, and only about 10 or 15 years ago finally took out the last one. They tried, but otherwise, flat bottom boat maybe, but
Sure. Well, I did not realize there were so many locks in North Carolina on the Cape Fear
Yep.
coming up from Bowie's Creek up in there. There were like 2 or 3 locks right
and
through
they did that first, and then they also extended it up the Haw and
Yeah.
came up here as well. And they were trying initially to get to the coal beds that are only about 15, 20 miles from here. Cumnock, or the Egypt coal mines, were mines that they were trying to harvest the coal and ship it down, but it just did not work, and they kept having floods in the mines, and then there was a big explosion, and that kind of did
Okay.
that inside. But a lot of people don't realize. I mean, I'm from Western Pennsylvania. When I think of coal mines, I think of West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think of North Carolina as a coal,
I
but there are
know.
2 big coal mine sections. One that's where Reed Gold Mine is, because where we have coal, and you can also have gold and iron deposits, and that comes this way. And then we're at the bottom southwest corner of a southwest to northeast stretch of coal here, called I believe it's the Cumnock Lode or Cumnock Mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
No, neither did I. We actually added a book that was written locally about the Deep River coal fields that's in our gift shop. And I'm working my way through it. It's very interesting. And talks a lot about the explosion that they had, which killed 53 people. And
Wow.
yeah, it was
That's serious.
it was not a good thing. It was kind of the ending of it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So the Deep River?
Deep River,
Deep
yeah.
River. Okay.
And I don't know which way you came in or which way you're
From
going.
Sanford.
Okay, you came in from Sanford. Well, if you were to go right at our stop sign and a mile down the road, you'd cross the bridge.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
right.
over the Deep River.
We did that
we
last
did
time.
that
We
last
went
time.
out the other way.
It looks like it's about maybe that
Yeah.
deep right now.
Yeah. And I was going to say that COVID, everything gets dated to COVID. We were here just prior to COVID.
hmm
So it was when we were here. So
Yeah,
I
we
was
had
trying to
the ex-
remember when I was
Yeah, we had the fun of Florence,
yeah.
Yep.
and Florence there was a foot of water over this bridge, running over it.
Wow.
When I came to work, I went, "Oh, the bridge is wet." And I got closer, and I'm like, "Oh, that water's moving." And the locals had said they'd never seen it that high.
Wow.
So, and then I expected something from Helene, but it just went more west, and most of that comes down the is it the New River, I think, that goes down into South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of the pension applications, because when these guys fought, they had no plans. They weren't paid. They were a militia, right? 30 years later, they were offered a pension. So I don't know about you. I can't remember what I did last week.
That's right.
And so they're having to give a dissertation to a judge or a legal authority who's writing it down to verify that who he is and what he said he is, and have another witness. So what we did find out is there was apparently a detachment of Colonel Alston's men under Captain Duckworth on the other side of the river looking for Alston when he's over here attacking the house. We don't know numbers, but the one description talks about being with Captain Duckworth, on the other side looking for a family. So the interesting thing, this room's a little fancier. The third owner was a 4-term governor of North Carolina, Governor Benjamin Williams. At that time, the terms were 1 year, and you were elected. You had to be a senator and be elected by your fellow senators. So it's a majority vote. They also had term limits. Every 6 years, you could only serve 3 of them. So he does 3 back to back to back 1-year terms, and then 5 or 6 years later does 1 more term. After that, he comes out here. He calls this his retreat, and he turns it into a large cotton plantation with 400 some odd acres of cotton. And the 1810 census has him at 103 enslaved individuals that were under his ownership at that point.
So he would have been a big slave owner. That sounds pretty.
It's pretty big. I mean, it is a plantation.
Yeah.
By all rights with that. There were larger ones. In fact, he had other plantations other than this one.
Oh.
He seemed to be fairly wealthy, but we only know information about this one so far. But he had a lot of timber for not only ship stores, but for lumber production. And to give you an example, he buys 2 half-acre lots in Raleigh for $500. The next day, he turns around and sells one of the 2 lots for $500. It was just that kind of a negotiator.
Wheeler and a dealer.
Yep, yeah. But he seems to have been a pretty average governor. Nothing really major happens during his terms, and so he's living here while he's governor, because the Revolutionary War capital had been Hillsborough. They had only recently moved the capital to Raleigh. They finally decided on where to put it,
That's right.
but they didn't have a governor's home. So he's commuting, not in the modern day sense of up and back every day, but he's commuting. Come out here, spend some time. They'd go up and they'd have meetings and do all that. He would stay at his townhome up there, and then he'd come back down here. And then they ends up selling the townhome up there, and his wife was not entirely happy about the lack of social interaction out here. So they bought
Imagine
a house
that.
on the nicer side of Fayetteville, which is the exact way they term it. And so it's pretty much downtown Fayetteville, based on what we've been able to research and find.
So the governor's mansion in Raleigh, do you happen to know what? It's okay if you don't.
No, I don't.
Date, because
The
we've
date,
toured
yeah.
that when they opened it up for
Uh-huh.
Christmas.
Yeah,
We've done
yeah.
that multiple years, and then we've also been inside the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't offhand know that.
I can
date, you know.
wiki it.
But I would say it's probably early 1800s.
Sure.
Because he's governor 1799 through 1803, and then I think it's 1806 again. But in any case, but he and his wife and their only child, a son, and their son's first wife are interred over here in this picket fence. They
Okay.
had been buried in the Dunn Cemetery, which was about 5 miles from here. The vandals had damaged it. I don't know if they were looking for, treasure or not, but in 1970 or 72, they moved them here, and so we could protect them. So,
Okay.
and you'll see that there is one grave over there that doesn't have an engraved top. That is actually in pieces, because it's probably what they damaged. The pieces are collected and are stored under our storehouse, and we're hoping to get that restored so we can put it back, but that's kind of a long-term arrangement.
Goal.
So
Yeah.
there's 2 marble tops, one's missing, and then there's one that has just like a brown concrete slab, and that is the son who never had an arm. So
You said first wife, so he had a second wife?
his first wife died giving birth to his son.
Okay.
And then his son never got along with his stepmother, and later his stepfather, and there's a whole legal battle goes on. It's very sad, but he ends up dying without having any children, so Governor Williams' biological lineage passes at that point. But later on, again, he's got this converted to a cotton plantation. Prior to that, Philip, they might have had their own personal plots of like tobacco, but they probably bartered for it. I asked the farmer, the modern farmer today, do you do tobacco? Because there is tobacco in Moore County. He said the ground is too hard. Once you get down to a certain level, it's like rock hard. And I guess tobacco has a very deep taproot.
Okay.
So I don't know if maybe there might have been different areas that were softer, or if he just bartered for it, or traded for it. And then the young lady in this portrait, this is Martha Alston. We don't really have any portraits that we've ever been able to find or know about from Philip Temperance. This is a cousin to Philip, and it's the closest thing that we have to give you an idea of his family.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it was Temperance, and
No,
it's
I mean,
not.
A lot of folks think that, and it's understandable why you would, but we are, there's Philip had at least 35 of his own grandchildren,
Wow.
and so there's a lot of Alston left on that branch of the tree, but none of them seem to have ever uncovered or found or turned in, offered a painted portrait of it. Certainly they were wealthy enough, they would have had it done, but in all the battles, they may have gotten destroyed. We don't know. Sitting here with his, his pipe and his glass of rum, watching all of his overseer work all his enslaved people in the fields, which is a sad picture, but
Yeah.
fairly accurate picture, because we do know that there were the trees up here on the hillock were all cleared away to allow ventilation.
Right, I was gonna say, I thought he probably could see the river maybe.
And,
Yeah, the water,
you
the
wouldn't see the water, 'cause
horseshoe-shaped
it's-
deep river
it's
is
fairly
that way.
deep, so, but when the water comes up, these drainage gullies will always fill up first. And then during Florence, there was 30 feet of water out here in the plains down there. And the big,
And this is the original front side of the house.
Along like little marshmallows and hot chocolate.
Yeah, well, that's what, all that sediment is why good agriculture, that's why it's good growing.
You are welcome to take all the acorns you want.
We don't have them in Colorado.
Pick them all up.
Yeah, well, it gets to the point it's late this year, but it gets to the point where we're basically shoveling them
Oh, yeah.
away.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have so many, we'll be shoveling them.
Sadly, we're going to have to do something about this big one because it's hazarding the building.
Oh, no.
We may just try and reduce some of the limbs on this side, but yeah.
Yeah.
We did come in the little museum. Either the air conditioner or the security system is beeping. We're not sure. Nice overhead view here. The deep river. It's kind of hard to see with the glare of the glass, but there's Governor Benjamin Williams' family tombstones. They were moved here from about 5 miles away because people were doing bad things at the location where they were buried, and well, why not bring them home to their house and property? So
Right, and he also said they had no descendants. The son had no kids.
Yeah, this is it.
This is it.
okay.
I got dirt.
You know there's kids on field trips coming here and doing this. You know there are. The caretaker said during Hurricane Florence that the water came up over this bridge, so you can see what that would entail. That would be like, oh my goodness, just absolute wow. Beautiful. We're here.
We are.
Be prepared for a total blast of Christmas.
Sugar levels increasing already.
And feast on the angel trumpet out here that looks gorgeous, and I'm hoping mine will continue to do well. This is the sample room.
In the little bitty cups today, we've got some hot pepper jelly and some holiday cranberry relish. There's some peanut brittle here, and then I will be glad to get you some coffee or some apples.
It's always so beautifully decorated in here, and I love the themed Christmas trees. I'm thinking that the garden hut's not going to have themed Christmas trees this year, but I hope so. Yeah. Like I said, a blast of Christmas fun. So the candy canes are Hammonds, and they're from Denver, Colorado. So you came all the way to North Carolina to buy Colorado candy canes?
Yep.
Oh, we really, really enjoyed the sample plate. I wish they sold coffee because I would have liked to have bought a coffee and more than just a sample. And we, both families came away with some goodies, especially in my case. I bought some things that I know Johnny will like, so. We're headed to the supercharger now. And it has not cooled off any. Well, she almost got us to the supercharger. She pulled into the shopping center and was headed over here.
Yeah. And she just food pot. Well, there's glass there.
Okay. The Bolt driver just showed up to charge. We went into Lowe's Foods grocery store while we waited for Ruby to get some charge. Stretch our legs.
Oh, making clouds today.
Yeah, it's quite active. Cool. Just making sure the camera's doing what it's supposed to be doing before we head out. We're going to pick up Adam and Michelle at the Airbnb. We've got our tickets. This is Moonlight in the Gardens at the NC State J.C. Ralston Arboretum. We went last year and it was really fun.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we're going to go check it out again.
Yeah.
We're here trying to park at the Arboretum and it's a Y, a Y, and an X. Come on, Auto Park. Auto Park for the win.
Well, he may have messed up.
I think you might have messed up. You need to get out of it, but you better hurry up.
Ruby did a great job parallel parking us here. It is crowded. We have a little bit of a walk down the sidewalk to get to the actual Arboretum. Yeah, Ruby did great. Ruby did fantastic.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, even I think I would have dared to try that. That spot was big enough, but yeah. Well, when you only parallel park once a year, you don't get very good at it. Me. I'm talking about me. And we enter through the big gate. Doesn't look like they're taking them here, so I guess we just walk and somewhere. Yeah. This is why we have our tree lit up red in the front yard. It's that tree's fault right there from last year. Yep, that's what it is. Wow, it looks so pretty. Of course, now that we have it in our front yard all year long. Oh, wow, that is a lot of chicken parm.
Yeah, it is.
And what was this? Meatballs?
Buffalo meatballs.
Buffalo meatballs. I have Italian sausage with peppers and onions, and Don has
Meatball.
meatballs.
And here
And
comes the
there comes Adam with Greek food. Well, now that we've had a little something to eat, we're going to start the walking part of the program. It is helpful to know your way around, I think, in the dark a little bit out here in the garden. It's pretty. This will be our first time here with this camera, which is supposed to have the really good low light stuff. I'm very excited about using it this Christmas and season. Oh yeah, we got to take Michelle over here. She's gonna like this. This is where you get to do your art and it glows. Glowing art. I just wish I could draw.
Well, it's got to slow down. Now it's going to go the other way. Other way, other way. Other people take some pictures.
It is real candles and it's a very pretty effect.
Yeah.
Very pretty. Wow, that's pretty. Some sort of special pine. There are a few places in the gardens closed off tonight because it's not lit up everywhere and people can't see, but there's quite a good bit that is lit. Yeah, the plant cart, what they do is they propagate things from the garden and then they put them up for sale up front.
These are called angel earrings.
It's pretty. Very pretty.
It's called angel earrings.
I don't know. We saw a stick that sort of looked like a snake. And it wasn't a snake. Well, they let us walk through the Asian Japanese garden. We got to listen to a guy from the company that installed the lights. He was doing a little demo explaining some of the thought process behind what they've done out here. I'm thinking there's a little less color this year and I missed the color is what I'm thinking. But that is kind of cool how it goes up the... Michelle, this is a good place to stand to look up the hill. Okay, Donnie, pretend you're a kid.
like to pretend I'm a kid.
I don't know. Make it spin. Hold the world in your hands. It's pretty cool. That's
Oh,
good.
there you go.
That's good. Dawn knows how to play it up just right. I can always count on you. Thank you.
sweetheart.
Well, those of you that remember the video from last year remember this beautiful color changing scenario over here on the end of the rooftop garden, and this year we have white and this one green tree. And yes, he did warn us back at the little discussion area that it's changing, it's doing something. I'm sorry, it's just not as pretty as last year. Well, the little bathroom building is looking very nice. And thousands of luminaries, it feels like.
Oh,
Certainly
yeah.
hundreds.
Thousands is, I think it is.
Okay. Well, we haven't gone in here yet, but we can't get in on the end. It's roped off, so we'll go back a ways and then go in. Daisies lit up nicely by the light there.
Well, now that looks like a Colorado tree. This one right here.
Yeah, some sort of cypress. I would say it's a type of cypress. It's not a spruce, Don. They have done a nice job of getting the lights up high, lighting things from underneath. We're catching a lot of plant perfumes and fragrances out here tonight. Here's the luminary walkway from this side. Breathe in, hold for a few seconds, exhale. I would say it's a gorgeous summer night. Oh, it's color changing too.
Wait for the pink. I got it. Red is after that blue. The green. There it is. Red bonsai.
Well, what's happening here is there's two different fades. Right, but there's two sets.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, so some are fading one color and some are fading another color. It's beautiful. Interesting pergola. I wonder if they'll put anything up on it. I don't see any plants yet. There's a nice gazebo in this direction. What is this? A moonflower or something, Michelle?
What?
See the flower up on the
Oh, yeah.
moon? I don't know what it is, but well, that almost looks like a bench in a treehouse. It's kind of in there, all peaceful, tucked underneath the branches. What is literally called the selfie circle up here. Someone was looking for it and I said, yeah, I think it's that way. It's diverging luminaries. Which way do we go? There's multiple directions here. Literally, there are thousands of them. And they're real candles, but it's a hardened sack, a reusable bag. But it is a real candle in there. Yeah, yeah.
There's an exit this way or this way.
There's not an exit this way. Okay, well, I think we went this way then.
I swear I've been here in the summer. I never saw this. If they're not turned on, you won't see it.
The selfie circle was fun. Obviously, we took pictures. We're headed to the house now. We dropped Michelle and Adam off at the Airbnb. Jules is already over there because we had picked them up. They got all settled. The first time I think I said they stayed at a hotel, and then they moved to the Airbnb today that they stayed at in March. Anyway, it was a good time over at the Moonlight in the Garden. And yeah, Ruby's windshield needs help. The focus is bad. I'm tired. It was a great day though. Totally great day. I think tomorrow we're going to do Raven Rock because between Saturday and Sunday, tomorrow is slightly sunnier here. Should be prettier. And then we got also have plans for Sunday. But tomorrow we should be some pretty leaf color.